Let's talk more about this now with Iranian analyst Potkin Azarmehr. Thanks very much for coming in. Just we heard there from Dosa Jabari that there's been this internet blackout. It must be pretty difficult to really get a sense of what's going on there. What are your contacts been telling you?
It says it happened from Saturday evening when the violence really escalated. Last contact I had was a phone call I received from one of the poorer districts in Tehran. And the person was telling me the reason they're calling me is because the internet is shut down, and they wanted to tell me that they'd witnessed at least 15 people who were shot at directly and taken to the hospital. And they were saying the place is like a war zone.
And do you think, is it your impression that this will have continued and that people were determined enough to continue protesting in the last day or so?
I've never witnessed the ferocity that we witnessed from the footage that was coming through until Saturday. It seems to be really widespread, even more widespread than 2 years ago. And it seems that the people were a lot more serious. And I think in a lot of ways they were encouraged by the courage of the protesters in Iraq.
And so on that, as you said, we've had protests before. What do you think is different now? Why was the trigger? What's the trigger for these ones, and why would that have made such a difference?
Well, obviously it was the hike in the petrol price, which wasn't pre-announced. And I think petrol price is something that affects everyone. This isn't just an issue for, say, dissidents or intellectuals or students or any one sector. It affects everybody. And you could make sound arguments about that it's really necessary to put the price up. I mean, the government is running out of revenue sources. They need the revenue, and Iranians are using a lot of petrol. So there is a sound economic arguments to put the price up. But the thing is, the trust between the people and the government is gone. They were supposed to have free water and free buses and free electricity at the beginning of the revolution. They don't feel that they've benefited from any of the riches of the country because the government's priority isn't right. And if they do get some resource, which actually a few days ago they announced that they come with this big oil reserve find, which is that they described as the size of Bahrain. But people don't think they're going to gain any of that. It's not going to go into their pockets because the government's priority is to spend it on exporting the revolution outside rather than spending on the people.
And so in the meantime, we've had this statement from the Revolutionary Guards that they might take decisive action if the protests don't stop. How surprised are you by the kind of level of repression that's been against these protests? So has it been stronger than in the past, or kind of similar to other reactions?
I can't see what other decisive action they can take. I mean, they're shooting directly at people. What else do they want to do? Do they want to fire mortar rounds at people? But it's hard for me to make a judgment at the moment or a prediction of how much longer the protests will go on. Now that's the contact with inside Iran is difficult, but it'd be interesting to see if it carries on till Friday, and whether the Friday prayer sermons will become the target for the protesters, and then we can have a better understanding of where the balance of forces are between protesters and the regime forces.
Potkin Azarmehr, thank you very much indeed for your analysis. Thank you.